Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. As a quick... It's just a quick thing. I realized this before we recorded. Last episode, and none of this matters, what I'm about to say, but last episode, I said that this episode was called Doomsday. It's called Army of Ghosts. And I realized that after, yesterday I just finished editing the last episode and getting it ready and stuff. And I realized that after I edited that episode, so hopefully nobody commented that. I'm sure they did, though. I just wanted to put that out there because now it's just stuck on my mind that I messed up the episode names. Again, okay. None of it matters. Last time around was Fear Her. What was that one about?
Well, it was set during the 2012 Olympics there in London, and there was a group of people, kids and others, who were starting to disappear, literally right in front of people. It turns out an alien that was part of a gigantic billion collective of alien minds had somehow fallen to Earth and then inhabited a young girl, and in order to try to not feel so lonely, had the girl drawing pictures of people, and by drawing their pictures, that kidnapped them and put them into her consciousness. But there was also her... I can't remember if her father was dead or not. But
yeah, he was dead, but for some reason, I can't really explain why, but the Isolus drew a demonic picture of him in her closet. And because they posited that if you can turn real things into drawings, perhaps drawings could become real things. So it was the potential of her cartoony demon father to come back.
An interesting episode. I remember somehow he managed to get the Isolus back to its collective.
Yeah, Rose figured out that the Isolus' ship needed heat, so she threw the little pod into the Olympic torch. Then the athlete, the runner, passed out. Didn't really explain why. And then the doctor came in, took the torch, took it all the way to the place, lit the whole thing, and that was enough fire for the pod to head out. So,
and tell me that in the actual 2012 Olympics, since this was like 5 or 6 years before that they actually contacted David Tennant and said, "Hey, would you like to reenact that?"
I don't think that happened. I think many Doctor Who fans at least wanted that to happen, but I don't think that happened, unfortunately. So
that would have been now. You know, the Olympic torch is a relay all the way from Olympia in Greece to wherever, in this case London. At any point, because that sometimes, I mean, that's probably going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get it, because they're literally carrying the torch. At any point, they could have had David Tennant carry it just for 20 or 30 yards, and that would have been very funny.
Well, yeah. So what do they do if the Olympics are, say, in Tokyo or the U.S.? Did they just... It's like, well, we got to start really early then.
Yeah. Now, a lot of times, though, they will take the torch, on a boat, or I can't remember if they take it on a plane or not, because open flames and everything.
Well, yeah.
But again, from Greece to Vladivostok or some other point in far Southeast Asia, they could actually run it all the way there. I mean, let's face it, you got Europe, Asia, and Africa all connected by land.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, there are ways that they manage to get it, and I can't remember if they actually run it or if they just keep the torch like on a ship or whatever to get it to its destination.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me, this is a complete, one of our classic tangents, but I remember I was watching a video where there was someone talking about how he just hates flying, just completely, and he's like, if he really has to, he does, but for the most part, and I think he lives out in Florida, but he's just like, yeah, if I avoid flying, I do it. And at one point, he was just like, I'm just hoping there's like a new Pangea that just suddenly happens so I can just drive everywhere. And I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. If I could just if I could just load up a car, with like a month's worth of stuff and just drive to the other side of the world. That sounds great.
Actually, your mother lived in Alaska because we went there. We flew there when he was very young. It didn't affect him quite as badly as it did this last time we went to Portland. But her mom and dad got a camper and drove from Kansas all the way to Palmer, Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you and I and your brother and your mother, we've all gone on various road trips, and the longest we've ever been out is about 3 weeks. But I think she said the equivalent of trying to get from Kansas to Alaska was roughly about 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah. So.
And they didn't stop in motels in nice places like we did. They were living in the back of that camper.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would take a long time, even if you squeeze all the continents right together. I saw, because of this, I've been recommended 1,000 videos on Pangea and like what the continental drift will look like and stuff. And one of the simulations I saw is it'll be 250 million years from now. And it was basically just like, Europe, Asia, and Africa all just kind of, center into each other. And the two Americas, like, they start to go, and then they just kind of swing back around and then just kind of hit it. Huh. So, and I can't remember, like, it was still a thing of, like, like I guess the east side of Asia and the west coast of the U.S. are still as far apart as can possibly be. But I can't remember specifically, like, what happened to, like, the UK and stuff. I think they're, like, somewhere around, Maine or Canada-ish. They just sort of get lumped together. So
I saw something recently that some scientists are now theorizing that, scientifically speaking, North and South America are actually still part of Europe because there's some kind of continental plate around Iceland that is not actually separated. So whereas we think of, and of course culturally and geographically speaking, North and South America are completely different from Europe, Asia, and Africa. But geologically, we are still under the sea linked to Europe because they haven't actually split apart yet. At least that's what I think I interpreted that article to be.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's just like, if I had a wish on a genie or the Dragon Balls or whatever, grants a wish, and it's like I would want, I have like several wishes that would come to mind, but one of them would just be, it's like, can you just magically, without any strife, just put all the continents and stuff together? Because in the one simulation I saw, it even like Antarctica comes up and like sandwiches itself between South America and Africa and stuff. So it's just like, could you do that? But if that just happened and all the continents were just together and we were all next to each other, it's like my second wish would have to be, and nobody started any wars over it.
Can't we all just get along?
Oh yeah, so it's just like, let's just all just, that would be like, the first wish is world peace. The second wish is to put all the continents together. The third wish, I don't know, I don't have to exercise, I'm just permanently fit, so I don't have to think about it. Maybe, I'll give that to the whole world too. Like, I'll be nice. You get 3 wishes on the Dragon Balls, those are my 3 wishes. So,
anyway.
Fitness also includes hair, teeth, anything you have to go to a person to see about. All that gets fixed in my wish. So you're welcome. You can send the Dragon Balls to me when you find them. Anyway, none of this matters, and we're just stalling for time for no reason, really. We could just move on to the episode. You got anything else?
No, other than you mentioned that Love and Monsters and Fear Her are not fan favorites, but then you said, but they really like the next one. Did you mean Army of Ghosts or did you mean Doomsday?
Well, it's both. It's because I mean, again, I've already said that this is a 2-part finale, but I did mix up the episode titles last time around. But this is basically just considered to be one story, and at the very least, it's not so vocally controversial as the last 2 episodes. I'm sure there are people that have some problems with these, but for the most part, I don't really hear about them that often.
Okay.
So yeah. With that said, why don't we just jump right into this episode?
But then came the army of ghosts. Then came Torchwood and the war. And that's when it all ended. This is a story of how I died.
Well, you look pretty good for a dead person.
Turns out she's only mostly dead.
Yeah.
Mom, it's us! We're back! Oh, I don't know why you bother with that phone. You never use it. Oh, you no, you don't. Come here. Oh, you lovely big fella. Oh, you're all mine. Yes, you are.
What you just said about Grandad,
Any second now.
Is that a new kitchen?
but he passed away. His heart gave out. Do you remember that?
Of course I do.
Certainly looks bigger.
But then how can he come back?
Why don't you ask him yourself? 10 past. Here he comes. Here we are then.
He looks great.
Dad?
They're everywhere.
Oh, Torchwood.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce we've just measured the ghost energy at 5,000 gigawatts. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Good job.
Today's
Whatever that
Ghost
means.
Watch claims that some of the ghosts are starting to talk, and there seems to be a regular formation.
I've seen elementary school teachers, when they ask for a round of applause, do this.
Yeah.
It's my ghost, and I love him 24/7.
Yeah.
No one needs me anymore.
My ghost was pale and grey until I discovered Ectoshine.
Le président a dit aujourd'hui.
It's like the Tesseract.
Yeah. I'm trying really hard not to make a Yu-Gi-Oh reference right now.
Sorry, I'm just looking for my friend. Did anyone come down here?
Oh.
Oh,
You're always doing this, reducing it to science. Why can't it be real? But just think of it though. All the people we've lost. Our families coming back home. Don't you think it's beautiful?
I think it's horrific.
yeah.
Rose, give it a hand.
There's a great music there. They've got today.
And powering up.
Oh. They've got the double earphones in.
No, I'm sure it's fine. They just really want to drown people out.
Isn't that what they were wearing, though, in the alternate reality?
I mean, yeah, but
I'll just keep on travelling, and you'll keep on changing. And in 40 years' time, 50, there'll be this woman, this strange woman, walking through the marketplace on some planet a billion miles from Earth. But she's not Rose Tyler. Not anymore. She's not even human.
Here we go.
I mean, people change. It doesn't matter what you do in that 50 years. People are going to change.
And we're into ghost ship.
Online.
I do appreciate that they just have giant comical levers. That'll help.
It's like a 1950s, 1960s alarm clock.
Here we go. We've got a camera within 50 yards.
Is it him?
It's him.
I said so. Those ghosts have been forced into existence from one specific point, and I can track down the source. Allons-y!
Oh, there's your proof.
Allons-y. I should say allons-y more often. Allons-y. Good shot, Rose Tyler. Allons-y. And then, it'd be really brilliant if I met someone called Alonzo. Because then I could say allons-y, Alonzo, every time. You're staring at me.
My mum's still on Mars. If we end up on Mars, I'm gonna kill you. Doctor, they've got guns.
And I haven't. Which makes me the better person, don't you think? They can shoot you dead, but the moral high ground is mine.
It's over, Anakin. I have the moral high ground.
The Doctor and the TARDIS.
Just stop.
The Doctor and his companion. That's a pattern, isn't it, right?
But here she is, Rose Tyler. She's not the best I've ever had. Bit too blonde. Not too steady on a feet, a lot of that. And just last week, she stared into the heart of the time vortex and aged 57 years. But she'll do.
I'm 40.
Deluded. I'll have to trade her in. Do you need anyone? She's very good at tea. Well, I say very good, I mean not bad. Well, I say not bad. Anyway, lead on. Allons-y, but not too fast. Our ankle's going.
I'll show you where my ankle's going.
Anything that comes from the sky, we strip it down and we use it for the good of the British Empire.
For the good of the what?
The British Empire.
There isn't a British Empire.
Not yet.
Excuse
me.
Have you got anyone called Alonzo?
I don't think so. Is that important?
No, I suppose not. What was your name?
Attach this to an object and it cancels the mass. I could use it to lift 2 tons of weight with a single hand. That's an imperial ton, by the way. Torchwood refuses to go metric.
I could do with that.
Oh, he doesn't have 2 of them.
No, that's a different guy.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
they all look alike.
Yeah. No, she's getting new recruits.
But if I'm the enemy, does that mean I'm a prisoner?
Oh, yes. But we make you perfectly comfortable. And there is so much you can teach us. Starting with this.
I miss Unit.
It upsets people because it gives off nothing. It is absent.
Well, Doctor?
It's an
This is a
X
void.
sphere.
Meh.
We send that thing back into hell. How did it get here in the first place?
Well, that's how it all started. The sphere came through into this world and the ghost followed in his wake.
Show me.
No, Doctor.
Sarcophagus. I used to have one of those. We did a play called The Men Who Came to Dinner. The props department created it for me.
I wonder if in the canon that's supposed to be related to like pyramids of Mars.
So we built this place, Torchwood Tower. The breach was 600 feet above sea level. It was the only way to reach it.
You built a skyscraper just to reach a spatial disturbance. How much money have you got?
Enough.
I want to believe they lost his prop glasses and had to use that.
Hold on a minute.
But when it made the hole, it cracked the world around it. The entire surface of this dimension splintered. That's how the ghosts get through. That's how they get everywhere. They're bleeding through the fault lines. Walking from their world, across the void, and into yours. With the human race hoping and wishing and helping them along. Too many ghosts. And...
Well, in that case, we'll have to be more careful.
You're already not careful.
But the program will recommence as soon as you've explained everything.
I'm glad to be of help.
And someone clear up this glass. They did warn me, Doctor. They said you like to make a mess.
And 100 and almost 50 years to...
Meh. Makes you wonder, like, how much they're in contact with UNIT. Oh, they got tiny keyboards.
Yeah, I was noticing that.
Can I see your authorization?
Sure.
That's lucky. You see, everyone at Torchwood has at least a basic level of psychic training. This paper is blank, and you're a fake.
Oh, no.
Samuel, can you check the door locks? She just walked right in.
Doing it now, sir.
Oh, it's Mickey.
Well, if you'd like to take a seat.
So
good
these
reveal.
ghosts, whatever they are. And if that's Rose Tyler, who's she?
I'm her mother.
Oh, you travel with her mother.
He kidnapped me.
Please, when Torchwood comes to write my complete history, don't tell people I travelled through time and space with her mother. I've got a reputation to uphold.
Excuse me, everyone. I thought I said stop the ghost shift. Who started the program? I ordered you to stop. Who's doing that?
Oh no, the levers are moving themselves.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
What happened? What did you just do?
They're dead.
You killed them.
Oh, someone else did that long before I got here.
But you killed them!
Jackie, I haven't got time for this.
What are those earpieces?
Don't.
But they're standard comms devices. How does it control them?
Trust me, leave them alone.
But what are they?
Yeah. Ugh.
It's alright, babe. We're beating him before we can beat him again. That's why I'm here. Fight goes on.
Fight against what?
What do you think?
Oh man, Mickey's confident now.
Pull all the plastic down.
Meh.
They came through first. The advance guard.
And now they've got
Cybermen.
the articulated breastplates.
As far as we know, the increase in ghost activity is harmless.
As far as you know.
Yeah. Give it a sec.
They're not ghosts, they're metal. I urge you to stay in your homes.
Okay, don't stay in your homes.
This is gonna blast them to hell.
Samuel, what are you doing?
Name's Mickey. Mickey Smith. Defending the Earth.
Yeah.
Against the scum of the universe.
Meh.
Sphere broke down the barriers between worlds. We only followed. Its origin is unknown.
And what's inside it?
Rose is down there.
That's not Cyberman.
Oh no! Oh. Raise the stakes!
Life forms detected. Exterminate. Exterminate.
Shoot, Mickey, shoot! Shoot first and ask questions later.
Next time! Oh.
Alright, now. Most basic question of all. Do the Daleks feel that the Cybermen are an inferior species? Because they have said that they were going to exterminate everyone. I guess we'll find that out next time around.
This is the first time the Daleks and the Cybermen have been in the same episode.
Well, I gotta say, that is an interesting twist.
Yeah. Another season finale with Daleks in it. Oh, boy.
Now, by this time, I'm assuming Terry Nation has passed away.
Probably.
But his estate still controls the Dalek. All right.
Yeah.
But obviously, they must have given permission to do this.
Yeah, I would imagine by this point, they... Like, anyone who wanted to make anything with the Daleks had probably given up, so it was probably much easier to give the Daleks to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I still don't know about... because I feel like I get different answers every time I bring it up, but I think there's the old theory that they had to put the Daleks in every season in order to maintain the rights to them. But I don't know if that is actually true or if that was, still a thing. I don't know. I don't know if that's... I don't know how true that is, but I mean, it is the first time we've seen the Daleks since the parting of the ways. So, it's been a while. And it's been a little while since we saw the Cybermen, technically. So, and it's interesting because I think I remember I said in the in those Cybermen videos, I was like, it's interesting, doing this, big two-parter, bringing back these classic villains, but not doing it as a two-part finale. I don't know why. I must have just completely forgotten in the moment. I was like, oh, wait a minute, the Cybermen do come back in this. So, like, I there's some stuff I remember about this, like, I remember pretty much everything, but there was only some stuff where I was really remembering and expecting going into this. Like, even just like in the middle of this episode, I was like, oh yeah, there's a cliffhanger where the Daleks show up too. So, but this episode is mostly about Torchwood.
Yes,
the big payoff to alluding to it all season. So they're certainly interesting. I like that. Because you could honestly say that they're like, well, they're the modern version of UNIT, but I like how distinct they are from UNIT.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, does UNIT even know they exist?
Potentially not, because, I mean, even in the Christmas Invasion episode, Harriet Jones, she was the Prime Minister, and she said she wasn't supposed to know about Torchwood. So, if anything, it sounds like Torchwood is only known about and funded purely by the royal family. Specifically, this is the one thing the royal family does, aside from show up and wave, is they fund Torchwood for the glory of the soon-to-be British Empire, apparently. So,
now, I mean, I understand that's a very easy plot line. But, in my opinion, I don't know that the British people or the British government would ever really consider trying to resurrect the empire. Because, I'm not going to try to get into all of it, but colonization and the idea of what happened in, India and in Australia and Canada, all these other, although those are now independent nations and are going on their own path, the British Empire, along with every other empire, the Mongol Empire, the Russian Empire, even the American Empire, there's a lot of really bad stuff that went on there, and so if you wanted to resurrect an economic empire, I would understand that, but to actually say that the British are going to rule over other countries, even in what this was a bit about 2006, 2007, that seems a bit megalomaniacal to me.
Yeah. Well, I would be curious, I mean, to go into the idea of what Torchwood is doing, but it's like, I would wonder if maybe the idea behind it for Torchwood in this canon is for Britain, while they say it's like, well, it's for the British Empire, not it wouldn't be an exact copy of what they used to have, but it would be more of what I would assume is like the political power like that the United States has in this day and age. Like you've got your major superpowers. Britain is kind of there, but kind of not there at the same time. So I would assume that's kind of what Torchwood is going for more of. And, maybe while not colonizing, forging new alliances through using this alien technology. I
mean, I kind of get that. There's a very small group of nations that are nuclear armed. Again, what I was thinking is, I kind of jokingly mentioned it, Torchwood seems to be like the Men in Black of the Doctor Who universe. we are here knowing all of these other things have happened, not only up until this point, but perhaps they also know about the future, like the Dalek invasion of 2150, whatever that was.
Yeah.
But their whole point is to make sure the Doctor does not bring more alien interference onto Earth. They obviously know that he loves Earth, and he keeps coming back and showing up at various points in time. But again, it seems to me that theoretically they would be simply there to protect the Earth from the scum of the universe.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me... The thing with that is, because with the Men in Black, that was more of an international organization. They really only focus on the one that's in New York in the movies and stuff, but...
Except for...
there was an international movie that they made a couple years ago. But I think that honestly might be more what UNIT is. I mean, UNIT is more militaristic, but, they pretty much work under the UN. They're more global than just the UK. Whereas, I mean, it kind of reminds me... I just had it. What was I thinking of? Because at first I thought of, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. with in Marvel, and it's kind of like that, but I would also kind of say, like, it just because they're more centered on the UK,
Yeah.
I don't know. I had another, fictitious organization in my head, and suddenly I can't. In the Suicide Squad, when you have Amanda Waller, and in that movie, as rough as that original Suicide Squad movie is, when she says, "We got lucky that Superman had our values, but what if he didn't?" I would imagine that's probably how Torchwood views the Doctor. It's like, well, the Doctor historically has been here to save us, but he's not always here. And at the same time, what if someday the Doctor has had enough of the Earth? He says, "You know what? I have tried 1,000 times to put you on a better course, and I can't do it." And so he leaves, or he turns violent, or something. And especially with the Doctor, he's kind of the most dangerous alien of them all, honestly, just because he's lived so friggin' long. So,
well, and again, part of my point there was because he comes back to Earth so much, because he loves Earth so much, that unfortunately the people who are after the Doctor tend to come after the Earth, because they say if we threaten the Earth, that will bring us in contact with the Doctor, and then we can destroy the Doctor. So Argus is the organization.
That was it, Argus. And so I kind of view it as that, like, they see the Doctor and they say, well, so far, even though Torchwood was founded on Queen Victoria going against the Doctor, it's like, well, the Doctor can do good, but the Doctor can invite that chaos. I mean, how many times has the Master tried to destroy the Earth in classic Doctor Who just because the Doctor likes Earth so much? So I can kind of see it more of that than a sort of Men in Black. Plus, like, even here they had the whole thing of like, well, if we can harness the energy from the ghosts or this hole in the universe, then Britain can be completely self-sustaining. They don't need the Middle East. They don't need anybody anymore. So, and then at that point, other nations could start becoming dependent on them instead of being dependent on someone that's not them.
Yeah.
So I kind of view that as more how Torchwood functions.
Now, again, one minor flaw in this whole thing that Torchwood's been there since Queen Victoria is, then where were they in the invasion of the Cybermen? Where were they in the Seventh Doctor's remembrance of the Daleks?
Yeah.
But again...
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I would guess is that they just haven't had enough stuff, basically. Like, they said, like, the weapon that they used to destroy the Sycorax, that was from a spaceship that they shot down 10 years ago. So they stripped that ship of all of its stuff, created this, Death Star laser, and that's how it works. So if I were to guess, it just took them too long before they had that capability. Or, as they're showing, the Daleks are just too capable for Torchwood alone. Like, they look at this and they think this is just a giant sphere. We don't know anything about it. The Doctor looks at it and says, okay, that's a void ship. Who made it? nobody knows. You can't figure it out until they open up and show who's in there, basically. So that's kind of a thing of like even the Cybermen, kind of look at this and they're like, we don't know how this happened. It's just the sphere broke through the barrier of dimensions. We exploited that, basically. Yeah. So if that would be my only guess of like Torchwood only recently having more capabilities, and even then, like the Daleks are just probably too much, which is a good segue into the next episode anyway of the Daleks that are there. So,
and I'm also reminded of that awful film, The Eternals, where the big question was, where were you when Thanos was destroying half the universe?
That one was way worse. that one was way worse than that. That is just like, why? On top of the fact that just wasn't a good movie. That was so boring. Yeah. It's just anyway. But but even still, just our full introduction of Torchwood is really good, and I noticed it a couple times, but some of the music, particularly the music when the ghost shifts start, is music that will be used in the Torchwood series. And I didn't notice that the first time around. It was just music because I hadn't seen Torchwood. But this time around, that caught me off guard, and I heard it and I was like, oh, I know that music now. So that was really cool.
But you were right. The music that accompanied this episode, the incidental background music, was very good. Really did heighten the mood.
Yeah. So, well, as for the other stuff, I don't know. See, now we've actually covered like almost everything. The Cybermen, Daleks, Torchwood itself. I mean, it is also just a really interesting like. It's an interesting thing. Just like an interesting premise of like, the ghost showing up, and it's just like, okay, what's going on? Like, and they say it's like, well, they showed up 2 months ago, everyone freaked out, then we all just kind of got used to it, and then they have this whole familiarity thing. They don't really specify, and I don't remember if they specify in the next episode, but if I were to guess, that is sort of a targeted thing, that it's like, well, the ghost, that they send to Jackie, that probably is her dad from the other universe, just now converted into a Cyberman.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of an interesting thing. Like once you realize, like, oh, they're all Cybermen, it's like, oh, that's why she has this familiarity.
And I kept wondering if there was going to be a ghost of like Jackie's dad, not Jackie's dad, Rose's dad, because Rose has had 2 different meetings with 2 different dads. And I thought that perhaps they were going to bring that back. But again...
But now, because it's the Cybermen, we know that Pete wasn't converted at the end of that. So, if anything, there could have been... I guess they could have, if Rose had been there more, maybe it would have been a thing like, well... It would have been weird, but it's like, oh, this one reminds me of Jackie, and it's just like, well, that's weird because obviously Jackie's still alive, so why would there be a Jackie ghost? But there was a Jackie Tyler Cyberman, so maybe that could have been a weird clue. But it's also interesting because they give away kind of the game on the Cybermen like really early. Like they don't explain the ghost really quickly, but just within the first 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, they already show, like, oh, the Cybermen are here. They're at the Torchwood building, and they assimilate, 3 of the people there.
Yeah.
So.
Now, they may have done that simply to establish the dual headphones, but classic Alfred Hitchcock and later Steven Spielberg kind of trick. When the girl went in there following the guy and she pushed the canvas aside, just a quick reaction shot of her instead of showing the Cyberman's head there, would have accomplished the same thing.
I wonder if they wanted to... Maybe they wanted to do that, and then, just, like, leave it as, she saw something, and then when she goes back, it's like, okay, well, she's fine, but she's got the 2 things in her ear, and you're thinking, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And that makes you start thinking about that. But I wonder if they tried that, and maybe in an original version, it didn't quite work, because then... You'd have to reveal that at the end that it's the Cybermen, And then on top of that, you revealed that the Daleks are in the sphere. And it's like maybe a double reveal didn't play well. So they decided to put that in. Because otherwise, they don't really... Like, it's just like 2 quick scenes. Like, you could cut those out and you know, then it's just more of the mystery. So, a mystery with a very obvious clue, but even still. So, but even then I could see that working of like, well, it's such an obvious clue to have both of the things in the ears. You start thinking, okay, it's the Cybermen. So by the time it's actually revealed, then they hit you with the second punch, basically, of having the Daleks there too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. On top of the fact that I guess the other reveal before that is that Mickey's back. So, and that was such a great reveal because I'd completely forgotten. Like, I remembered Mickey was going to come back, but I forgot that that's how he was revealed.
Yeah. And how long has he been back? Because he seems to have been, working alongside Rajesh there.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only thing we know is that the ghosts have been appearing for 2 months. So, pretty much any time in those 2 months, Mickey could have bounced back over here because he's trying to figure out what's going on with the Cybermen.
Yeah. And, of course, I guess in the alternate world, in the other universe, he had, because he was part of the rebellion, he had learned how to essentially fake being an accomplished scientist, or I don't know, because he didn't seem to be just a flunky. The other doctor seemed to count on him, and he said, Samuel, what are you doing? My name's Mickey.
I mean, they always pointed out that Mickey was good with computers.
That's true, yeah.
So, on top of everything he probably learned during the rebellion as well, he probably is, like, top of his game right now in terms of what he can do. And, and he got in there a lot better than Rose did. And it's a funny thing when it's like, oh yeah, every person at Torchwood has, very basic psychic training, so psychic paper doesn't work on them. And so it's just like, so we got you. And it's just a thing of like, well, you should really teach your doors that, because she just walked right in there and it was fine. So I haven't gotten to that part of the psychic training of training all the locks to get around that, but yeah. And obviously an interesting thing of having Jackie most of the episode, which was fun. But
now, wasn't she in the TARDIS? She didn't travel in it, but wasn't she inside the TARDIS at one point?
She has been inside the TARDIS before, like when they were trying to get the thing open at the end of last season and stuff. I can't remember if there was anything else, but and we did also have the conversation between Jackie and Rose of like, are you ever going to settle down? You're just going to keep changing, and and saying like, well, in 40, 50 years, there's just going to be some woman on this alien planet, but she's not Rose Tyler anymore. She's just different. And it's just like, it's one of those things of like, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think you worded that properly. Because it is a thing of like, well, yeah, in 50 years, anyone's bound to change. I mean, you know what? We could just ask, what were you like 50 years ago?
Well, at age 23, I was still in college, working my way through college. I was an actor then. I had not started directing yet. I was trying to write some plays. I'd written some one-acts, which only one ever got produced. But one of the things I used to tell my students when I was teaching sixth grade, I taught sixth grade for 17 years. I think that I connected with my students because I always said, I'm a 51-year-old teacher with 40 years experience of being 11 years old. Because I do still have very much that very awful 11-year-old sense of humor, as obvious by some of my reactions to this stuff.
Yeah.
Physically, obviously, I have changed quite a lot. Mentally, I'm probably a little more sedate than I was back then. But
Yeah.
I'm still the same kind of person that I was.
Yeah. So with Rose, it's a thing of like, which honestly, it's like, is Rose even that much different than before she met the Doctor? I would argue it's just she's able to be more of herself, honestly. Just the life she was living, she was not living to her fullest, and now she is. And it just depends on, where that life will lead you, basically. And of course, at the beginning of this episode is the tease that she dies at the end of this, but still. We should also say, happy birthday, by the way. We are recording this, not when this is going out, but when we are recording this, it is his birthday. So it just came to mind when you started talking about, like, well, I was 23, 50 years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should, so I'll say something about that.
73 and have spent the last 6 years now working alongside Alex on this project.
Yeah. The interesting thing, when I've been trying to figure out what we're going to do with the Torchwood series and stuff, one thing I thought is the reason that I was able to line up Torchwood so well the first time around was, well, I mean, I didn't even do it. Someone else made the schedule for me. But the reason that it lined up so perfectly was because they put in a little break between this season finale and the Christmas special, because that was the first classic episode that we did. And so I thought, oh, that's why I had so much trouble. Like, when I was trying to think, like, can we do all the episodes? I was trying to line everything up. I was like, this doesn't work. And why can't I get this to work? And it's like, oh, that's because, between season 3 and season 4, I don't have an entire month of classic Who reactions to do to break everything up and give Doctor Who and Torchwood a little breathing room. So that's kind of been the thing. Plus, I am so horrible when I edit these episodes. I have no motivation to do it. And that's not the case when we record. Obviously I'm much more animated. I still enjoy recording all of these, but for some reason I cannot edit these in a timely manner. So I thought, I cannot add Torchwood on top of it. We'll do a best of Torchwood, but we're not going to do the whole thing. Yeah. But that was the thing. I was like, oh, that's why I can't line up these series properly. I don't have the classic Doctor Who reactions anymore to fill in gaps and stuff. So, I mean, we could just redo that whole tour, but that sounds like that's obviously much more work. If I can barely edit these, I can't redo those old videos. So yeah, that's just how that's gonna go with that. But yeah, and I remember, like, for this episode in particular, I think I was still on my old laptop making these videos, and I'm pretty sure that was when there's a ceiling fan that's just above us right here. Normally I have it on full blast. There's probably a dozen episodes where we mention, like, oh, the fan's on high, and he's cold and I'm not.
I'm still cold.
Yeah, and I could turn that up right now, honestly. I'm a little warm. But I think when I was doing this episode, that fan was getting installed. And so I was, like, on my laptop, like, out in the kitchen trying to edit this episode. And that was, like, back before I had the microphone, I had the table. I was still recording on I was, like, 2 phones ago, like 1 laptop ago on my awful laptop, just trying to make these reaction videos. So it wasn't until, I think, like, the middle point of season 4 that I got my desktop computer and monitors and set all those up. So I don't know if you even remember having to watch classic Doctor Who on my old laptop.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it was such a smaller screen, and it was difficult. And I think it was the second one we did, the Daleks reaction, that was the first time that I think I busted out the table and I bought the microphone and stuff to do that. But that was a long time ago. That was 2018. So many things about the world have changed since then. Like I think about that. There's a show that I watched in 2018 that's getting a new season pretty soon, and I thought about that. And I was like, man, I watched that like when I was in college. You know, like before, like I would watch it in the morning, like before college and stuff. In 2018, I was like, geez, that feels like so long ago. It's like I definitely like in my head. I have separated us. I've separated time into different eras. There's pre-2020 and there is post-2020, and there is that's just it. Like anything before 2020, I'm just like, that was 500 years ago. I can't be asked to think about that stuff. So I'm gonna say I got lucky that I literally I graduated from college in December of 2019. I had to take. I technically took 4.5 years to get through college, but I finished that in 2019, and then just about 3 months later, the world ended. So I got lucky I got lucky in college on two fronts: A, that I didn't have to deal with the pandemic in college, and B, I did not have to deal with AI in college, because that's a definite big thing of, students using AI to write their essays and stuff. And I just think, man, you're so lazy. You need to do what we did in college, which was we get assigned a book. We have to write an essay. You read 5 chapters and think, I got this. And then you write something and you get a C. That's how you're supposed to get through college. What are we talking about?
Who knows?
I don't know.
We've lost the thread.
But we did talk a lot about this episode, actually. Yeah. So with Torchwood and the Cybermen and the Daleks and stuff. So yeah. Well, in the last two-parter, which was the Devil two-parter, you said you had no idea where we were going. You got any predictions for the finale?
Well, the very first comment that I made is that the Daleks consider themselves the best species, the most perfect species in the universe. So I'm assuming that at some point in the next episode, there's going to have to be a conflict between the Cybermen and the Daleks.
Yeah. I mean, it's only natural, especially with the Cybermen wanting to convert everything to what they view as their perfection and everything. So, I mean, it does kind of highlight how similar the two of them are, Yeah. Like there's obviously great distinctions, even just, past how they look. There are great distinctions between the two of them in like concept and theory and stuff like that. But it is interesting. There's just like, what happens when these two things meet? An unstoppable force and an immovable object, I guess. So,
right, looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dan from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our modern Doctor Who reactions, as well as every Doctor Who reaction if you want to go back. Maybe go back to some of the old ones that over these episodes. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.